us in the Pledge of Allegiance, that will be greatly appreciated. Mr. Martin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, and thank you, Dr. Parkinson. We'll move on to our report from our superintendent.
All right, good evening. This is a interesting start to the meeting. I do apologize. I was definitely struggling with some technical difficulties trying to get in, but want to just take the opportunity to thank everyone for being a part of this meeting tonight. And I'm going to start with just recognizing the staff, all of our staff in the Chester Upland School District. I want to first take this opportunity to publicly thank all of the staff in the Chester Upland School District. We have been faced with many challenges, as has all of the other educators across the country. We all know that our staff could work anywhere that they desire, but they choose to serve our students daily in the Chester Upland School District. I'm asking that each one of them enjoy this much deserved break with their families and friends and return refreshed and renewed. The staff will once again be asked to turn off their email during the break to be able to focus completely on their self-care. Thank you all for all that you continue to do for the students in this amazing community. I'd also like this to take this opportunity to address the heating system issues that both Main Street and Chester High School dealt with on Monday, December 20th. We were made aware that the heat in Main Street was not working and immediately went to address that situation yesterday. Mr. Howard, the director of facilities, was able to get the heat restarted for a moment. We thought that we would all be fine once he was able to get it started. The heat eventually went back out and students were relocated to warmer parts of the building. The parents were informed that if they were able to pick up their children, that we wanted them to please do so. The majority of our parents were able to pick up the students at Main Street, and they were able to make that happen. Unfortunately, an early dismissal was not an option due to some of our students being sent home to an empty home, to empty houses. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't do that. Obviously, there were some questions asked why we didn't dismiss earlier. There are many parents in our community who are working and were not able to get home. Teachers did reach out and try to make that happen. We did what we could do to make all of our students comfortable. And while we were at Main Street addressing the heating issue, we were notified that the heat at the Chester High School had stopped working. That eliminated the ability to have our Main Street students go to the Chester High School for heat. We immediately had service companies come to both buildings to address these issues. Heat is being restored in both buildings and is expected to be fully functioning upon returning to school on January 3rd. In the event of an emergency, the district uses class tag to notify families. All information for class tag is derived from eSchool. Unfortunately, we discovered that not all information was up to date when we notified the parents at Main Street. In January, we will definitely be requesting that all eSchool information is updated for all students who are in the Chester Upland School District. This is actually the fun part of the evening. We're going to highlight some of our students from Toby Farms, the drum line. We want you to see that. We're going to show a video clip shortly. We're going to highlight a violin concert that I actually personally got to witness at Chester Elementary School. There's a ton of talent in this district. And one of the things as we talk about music and moving forward, to see what these elementary students were doing with the violin, it's something that we all want to see continue through as these students matriculate and just continue to build upon this talent that the students have. And then we're going to speak to the storybook ball. This past month, our students of CUSA participated in the storybook ball at City Hall, where they were treated to several royal readers who filled the afternoon with great memories. Some of the guest readers included Principal Gardner, Assistant Principal Loper, several teachers of CUSA, Mayor Kirkland, our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Sutton, our Councilwoman Williams, and Mr. Lee from the Department of Recreation, just to name a few. This was an amazing event for our wonderful students of CUSA, so please enjoy these short clips that will highlight each of these events that should be queued up right now. Here we go.
major issues facing your administration, and what are you going to do to fix it?
So the question was, what are the major issues facing the administration, and what are we going to do to fix it?
Yes.
Hey, we are doing dampening Upland, yeah?
Right. Again, that was just a highlight of some of our amazing students. Again, a ton of talent with these first year violin students. So I can't wait to see all the great things that they do. Our drumline and Toby Farms did an excellent job. And again, the storybook reading. So again, thank all of those who participated in the reading for our students and everything that's happening, all the great things happening in Chester.
All right, thank you, Dr. Parkinson. There were some great things, and we love seeing things like that. Our students, the violin, that really got me, man. I'm telling you, I don't know if I've seen that in a while here in the Chester Upland School District, so that's exciting. Mr. Martin, and I know we don't have, Mr. Martin, you will most certainly have a standing agenda item. You'll be either number 3 or number 4 moving forward. You know, you've been here from the very beginning, and we appreciate you representing the student body of the Chester Upland School District from STEM Academy. And I know that someone will be joining you in January from Chester High School. So we're excited to hear your update and report. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Receiver Nichols. Good evening, Dr. Parkinson, and good evening, elected school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you once again. I'm Mikel Martin, a senior at STEM Academy, the class president, as well as the student representative, and I'm here to give you a report. So starting off with our High Q. Our High Q is a team that studies to answer questions on math, current world events, sports, geography, and more. They compete against 2 different teams, and they go to answer questions in a Jeopardy sort of game. They had one of their first competitions early this December, and our team did very well. I'm not exactly sure where they placed, but I know they placed either 2nd or 1st, and they hope to improve. Yesterday, we had our senior breakfast in which we had games and activities, and we enjoyed ourselves very much. Our reading program, we had students go to Stetzer and read to children. I was a part of that program, and it was a very great program. We got to read to the students. We got to talk to the students. It was great to interact with the students and be able to see where their mindset was. And it's great to know that we'll be with those students for the rest of the year, and we'll be able to build them up, build their character, build their knowledge, and just kind of impart the things that we know into them and just kind of help improve their lives. This week is STEM's Winter Holiday Spirit Week. We started off with Ugly Sweater Day. Today we had a door decorating contest as well as Pajama Day. Tomorrow was supposed to be Pajama Day, but since it's now a half day, our Pajama Day was moved to today. And on to our college acceptances. So we've had many students accepted into many different colleges. We've had students receive partial scholarships, and we've had a few students receive full scholarships to a couple different schools. I am one of the students that received the full scholarship, and I am blessed and honored. So that's all for today. I thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. At this time, we will have the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on November 23rd, 2021. The minutes are hereby approved. And next, we'll have public comment. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please raise your hand and state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to do so. Again, state your name and address for the record and 3 minutes.
Hi, Mr. Receiver Nichols, we have Larry Ham as the first hand raised.
All
Mr.
right.
Ham, Mr. Ham, can you unmute yourself?
Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me?
you can speak.
All right. Well,
State your name and your address, please.
I'm sorry. Larry Ham, 37 West 8th Street, Chester, Pennsylvania. Let me begin with the agenda first. Get my, what is it? B1, which has a resignation of my beloved daughter, Dr. Lakia Chambers, listed. I just wanted to speak to you, darling, wishing you the best. It's definitely a loss to that administration and to this community, but I'm sure that you will do marvelous things, and I wish you well. The other agenda item I'd like to address is the suspensions at Chester High School. Since I've been in the building with Fathers for Life, I just want to ask if Dr. Parkinson could express, is there a replacement for the current principal? I know what's the principal, acting principal? What's the acting principal? Someone help me out. Who's acting principal?
Just real quick, Mr. Ham, let me first just say, I want to thank you for what you're doing in the building, representing Fathers for Life. Just really quick, I know you have many minutes left, but can't speak on personal matters, but I just wanted to make you aware that we do appreciate what you're doing in the building.
No, I understand that. Well, what I'm saying is I'm not asking you to speak on that matter, but who's in charge right now in her stead, in the absence of what I see in the minutes? I mean, my point, Dr. Parkinson, I'm just coming to this point. I also see suspensions of teacher staff. I'm not asking about anything particular, but I'm just questioning what loss there is of subject matter per se. It's not designated what these teachers taught. Are we just dealing with substitutes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I know it's been, an adjustment and moving forward, and a lot of things have gone on, and I'm wishing us well, but it's a lot of situations and circumstances that I am observing that it breaks my heart. I'll just say that, even in what I'm doing. And I bring up that move because I had a conversation with the principal who has been suspended, and now I have to have another conversation with, I guess, whoever. What's the principal's name? Jan, Dr. What's the assistant principal? The guy. Mr. Brown. I'm sorry. So I'm just saying, in light of everything, I know that we're working hard. I'm going to continue to work hard, but in light of those things that I saw and I see in the minutes, as we step into January 2022, I just hope that, given the fact that we have a hard time getting substitutes, and I'm sure there's good reasons for what has happened. But I just want to say that let's just take the time. And I guess what I'm really saying is I know a lot is going good, but I'm observing a lot that's not good, and I want to let this administration know that. I told Nafis Nichols that I would do that. I'm all about accountability, and I'm all about service. My suspension of the teachers, Class president. Okay, the heating problem. Okay, COVID. I do understand that we have a COVID policy intact and it involves testing, correct? Does it involve testing, our COVID policy of staff and students? Okay, I guess I can, that's a question. I'll just put that as a question to be answered. What else do I want to say? I think that's it. I overheard that we won't be coming back live in January, especially given, you know, COVID's come real close to my family, even during this time. So I understand having to still go virtual. But I just want to end it and say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to all, and let's keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ham.
Our next one is Ms. Jean Arnold. Ms. Arnold, would you like to unmute yourself?
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Receiver Nichols and all of our staff for our meeting this evening. I echo your concerns, Receiver Nichols, about us being able to have a Zoom without any glitches. I'm sure you're working on that, and I want to join you in my concerns. They go back to, I guess, a while before you joined us. So that's an issue that I'm hopeful that we will correct. I'm particularly concerned when our superintendent is having issues getting on board with us for these meetings. And so I'm trusting that the technology team will correct that soon. I'm calling on you, sir, to do more. First, let me say, Receiver Nichols, I thank you for what you have done so far. What I'm concerned about is that our school year will come to an end, and there will be many opportunities that we have not taken advantage of. And so I have a list of things that I want to share. And I'm going to ask again that we not ignore questions, comments that the community brings forth. We have a history of doing that. And while Receiver Nichols, your position, because of the way the statutes are written, allow you to be something of a king, K-I-N-G, because of the sovereignty that is afforded you in this position. And it looks like you really are not accountable to anybody. You might say you're accountable to the judge and the Department of Education. And that has been an interesting relationship. But to us here underneath your position, it seems as if you're not accountable to anybody. And that is a reason for great concern. And so I'm going to continue to press and ask questions along with Mr. Ham and other people who might speak today. But what I'm urging and requesting that you do is more responses, give us more responses to what we're asking about. We thank you for the ones that you've done so far. Number one is, I sent an email last month shortly after our meeting because we had found that Dr. Nunnery was receiving payments and we were concerned, some of us were concerned about why that was happening. And I asked if you guys could speak to that tonight and let the community understand what those payments are about. In addition to that, as we were ending our meeting last month, someone mentioned that we were for sure going to be in the red. I found that concerning. And I asked in my email last month if we could give some information about how that came about, what might be more in jeopardy than some other items, but really have a more complete, comprehensive disclosure with the public about how it is that we are looking at a red situation so early. The next thing is I have been asking, the community has been asking for a long, long time about the ESSER budget. And to date, please hear me, we have not gotten one iota worth of information about the details of that budget, how it is being spent, and that's of major concern. That's a separate pot of money compared to our other budgets. And so when we hear something about being in the red, we really don't know what that means. And so I'm concerned that the administration has not answered us, has not responded to us in terms of explaining that budget. Another item is when we look at comments that were made, Receiver Nichols at some of the town hall meetings about CUSA being moved to a building, I think it was 1350 that you were talking about or mentioning being purchased. That is alarming, given that we have a red situation that we're looking at, and we're talking about buying a building and all of what would be required to move those children. We haven't seen architectural drawings. We haven't seen details about what the cost of the plumbing will be, any of that. And so here again, you know, we matter. And sometimes it seems to me that there's a standard that we have here for Chester that we wouldn't have for other communities. And so please, please give us that high level of quality information and planning that I know that we deserve, that you're capable of doing. I'm requesting also a meeting to talk about the budget for the CTE program. There is so much potential in what we are offering and have the potential to do, and it is still not yet, it is still not operational. We have equipment that is still sitting, that is not being fully utilized. There are skill sets that the students have that could really create a revenue stream using their skills and connections and collaborations with the community that we have not yet begun to use. We have in STEM a space called Makerspace. We spent thousands of dollars to refurbish the old library, and it seems to not be utilized to its fullest potential. I don't know what's happening with the greenhouse that is there. We took the time to do a repair of the wall around STEM, and we did not provide a handicap accessibility ramp. Persons who have to get into the building have to go around to the back. That is not very welcoming. I don't know if anybody thought about making that correction when that masonry work was being considered, but I know there was no discussion about it at least in any of our receivers meetings. And that's another thing that I'm concerned about. Is there any thought about doing anything about that? Outsourcing security. Security is the first voice, face that our children see when they come to school in the morning, and relationships are extremely important. And I'm very concerned that we might replace some of those first encounters with people whom the children do not know, and they might not receive the kind of response that I think is so very critical for our children when they come into our building. So I'm really, really concerned about why we are doing it and the ability of our people to reapply and get those positions. I did hear that that was an option. Furthermore, I would like for us to put more rigor in our after-school program. That program oftentimes can be the life raft for students. They might not like academic subjects, but they might find a real solid place in our after-school programs. And it seems to me from what I have observed and heard so far that our program is not as strong as we've had it in the past. I'm very concerned about that and would ask that we take really strong efforts to enrich that program, make it stronger. also to fully fund the positive aspects of the PBIS program. We heard from Dr. Williams the other week, and a wonderful presentation about some of what he's planning to do. And I totally support that. Really, really want to see that happen. We have a history of talking about stuff and never ever having it materialize for our students. And we have to micromanage quite often to make these things happen. And so I implore you to really, really do all that you can do to take action and make sure that these things happen now. Another one on that list, I don't want it to get past us, is youth court. We have been teaching and teaching about youth court, and we still not have yet established that wonderful opportunity to help turn our children's lives around and provide a very rich experience. Can our curriculum include more of our technology? We have cameras, we have a green room, we have all kinds of capabilities with software program to do music production and what have you. My question is, when we teach writing, when we teach public speaking, when we teach social studies, reading, is there a way, and I know there is there a way to include some of the fancy technology with that curriculum so that our students will have not just the traditional class instruction, but something that is more related to the 21st century where they will be living and working? I'm still waiting for an organizational chart that is complete. Thank you so much for the first draft. It's been too long, I think, between that first draft and now. We need to complete it. We need names of persons in these positions, and we also need it down to the school level, which we have not done. And so we're still waiting for that. And I'm asking that we publish in January all employees and their salaries. We have done that in the past, Receiver Nichols. And so I am asking, strongly asking that we do that again to let all of us know what everybody's salary is. It's not a heavy lift, I should think, because whenever people are hired, one of the things we do is put their salaries in our agenda. So what I'm asking you to do is pull all that together and put it in one document for us in January. Again, we have so much low-hanging fruit that we do not take advantage of. And my heart is heavy that we're not doing more. I think that is all of what I wanted to say.
Ms. Arnold, I thank you for your comments. And I have to tell you that I literally have now a page and a half of notes just from you with a list of things. I'm not being facetious at all. A lot of things that you are requesting and are talking about are things that are actually being worked on in the district. I am going to ask, and you can hold me accountable, and I know that you will. Regardless if you or whoever think that I'm the king, I am not the king. I am here to assist each and every one of you as you are to assist me to change our school district. So I'm asking Chris, if you could please schedule some time with Ms. Arnold, myself, and Dr. Parkinson in the very near future so that we can go over all of these things. And what I would like to do at the next meeting is present out on these, these are important topics so everyone can, get a feel for what we're doing. Dr. Parkinson and I had a very, very, very lengthy meeting today where we talked just about that, Ms. Arnold. One thing that you mentioned was about the low-hanging fruit and us telling our story. I don't think the district does a good job of telling its story because we were talking about always putting out a fire. And some of the things that you mentioned are actually happening, but again, we're not putting it out there. So we have to do a better job of rebranding this district so that people know exactly the great things that we are doing and some of that low-hanging fruit. Ironically, I'm looking at the last thing that you discussed publishing the salaries. Chris is already working on that. Chris and I started that process about 2 weeks ago because we know that it happened in the past. So that will be published. But Ms. Arnold, I really, really would like for us to sit down and talk, if you don't mind, and we do a full-fledged report back out next month. One thing I do want to mention as it relates to the budget, you know, we had some turnover in the business office. Our new business manager is here. We have some support around him from some outside sources. But my goal and plan was to do a mid-year review, full-fledged, separate from a receivers meeting, a financial update as to where the district actually is that will include ESSERs, and we'll talk about those that was stated last month about us being in red. Without getting too much into the weeds, and again, it's not that I'm not being transparent, but since I've been here, Ms. Arnold, I can tell you that we have paid $11 million of past due obligation from prior years. So that's part of the issue. These were just invoices that were lingering here in the district. And we are trying to make, you know, the district, you know, vendors whole. So I would like to, and I've already started this planning process, have a comprehensive financial mid-year review so that we all can go through it step by step, aside from us doing it here at a receivers meeting. Is that fair for us to schedule that meeting and go through that and report out at next month's receivers meeting?
Absolutely, sure. If you can still hear me, I will call Chris tomorrow. I know tomorrow's a half day, I believe, for a lot of the staff at the schools, but I will start those calls with Chris to see what works. And I am eager and appreciative of whatever time you can offer me, sir. I really, really am.
As always, Ms. Arnold, thank you. I know your commitment to the students of the Chester Upland School District and the district, and it does not go unappreciated. So your questions aren't hard for me because we are, believe it or not, aligned in a lot of areas. So I thank you. And Chris, please set the meeting up as soon as we can.
You cannot see me smiling, sir, but I am.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold.
Okay, our next raised hand is Deneen Mosley. Ms. Mosley, can you unmute yourself?
Good evening, Ms. Mosley.
Ms. Mosley, can you unmute yourself?
I did.
There you go. You can speak.
I too would like to, well, good evening, everyone, because I don't know if you heard me the first time. On item B1, the resignation of Dr. Lakia Chambers, I am very surprised and a little taken back to see that on the agenda. And I hope that every effort has been made to try to retain Dr. Chambers in her role. I know that that's not official until January. So I ask that this team continue to work to see what can be done, to see if that is something that we can try to retain, because I do believe that she brings value to that role and also to the district. The other item, I didn't see it on the agenda item, but I have heard about the outsourcing of security. And before the board, the superintendent and the team would vote on something like that, I would ask that we would really do some type of cost analysis so that we can truly see if outsourcing those roles are real, if that's really even cost effective. Those positions are not highly paid positions within the district. And so we're not looking to create more liability or cost. So I really, before that type of decision is made, we really need to see what that looks like on paper. My next question is about A9, varsity tutors for schools. I really needed a little bit more information as to what that actually is or what it provides. Is that an after school tutoring program? If someone can speak to that, because depending on what that is, I may have more questions.
Dr. Whitaker?
Good evening. Varsity Tutors is a organization that I'm seeking to contract with to support our digital academy. That's for our students who attend our digital academy. We have quite a few number of special education students who need support, whether that be through one-on-one instruction or group instruction as per IEP. And as it's been discussed throughout the school year, our district, along with many other school districts, are having difficulty finding staff and teachers for that position. So in light of having a teacher for that particular program, Digital Academy, the Varsity Tutor program is going to help provide the services that is needed for the students in Digital Academy who are special education students. It's a support for special education students.
And that's not something that we have the capability to do in-house?
We've have been looking for support in that area, whether, from teacher assistants to other supports, and it has not bared any fruit at this point. So this would be the remedy to that particular problem. Like I mentioned earlier, we have quite a few students in Digital Academy or special ed that need that one-to-one support or a group. And some of that is per their IEP, and we need to provide that service. So this is the way that I was able to provide that service is through Varsity Tutors.
And do we have more than one quote for this type of service? Is this the only company?
It is the only company that I have come across that provides such comprehensive service that is tailored to meet our particular needs.
Okay. Did we check with any of the local IUs to see if it's a service that they could provide so we can have something comparable?
So, I can look at other agencies that provide similar service and provide a couple other quotes for the next meeting.
I would appreciate that so we can make sure that we're getting dollar for dollar the best service delivery. And I really will hope that we would start to develop some of these types of things in-house. These things are necessary in order for us to recoup or recapture some of the students that we outsource. So we have to get stronger as a district and begin to provide some of these services in-house so everything doesn't have to be sent outside of our school district, including our students. My last question is again around professional development. And I am going to ask, how are we ensuring that professional development is actually moving actual teacher instruction? Because I really want us to be prepared for state assessment and testing when it's that time. So I really want to make sure that we are actively monitoring the level of instruction that is happening in the classrooms so that we are adequately prepared when it's time for state testing so that children as well as staff are ready. I believe that would be Dr. Sutton.
Yes, Ms. Mosley. Dr. Sutton?
All right, thank you.
That is me. In terms of professional development, we've had several sessions of professional development already. In terms of preparing students for state testing, our focus is on best practices in the classroom. So when we do our walkthroughs, when we do our formal observations, there are certain things that we're looking for, and it's not just central administration, it's building principals, the assistant principals. In many cases, we have instructional coaches who are also in classrooms providing support. But my belief is that if we have good instruction happening, strong instruction happening in the classroom, the results on a state test will happen. So our focus is not on the state test as much as it's on strong instruction in the classroom. So that's my response to that.
So what have you been seeing is as you're walking through, as you're getting monthly reports?
Yeah, I don't think this is the forum for that, but if you would like to discuss it, we can do it at a later date. But I'll be happy to share.
Okay, so are you seeing good instruction when you're walking through the classrooms? Do you have a way that you're getting updates from principals so that we know that, you know, we're making progress in the classrooms?
Yes, that's happening.
Okay. Okay. I think I am going to schedule some time with you though.
Okay, not a problem.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mosley. And I will address the two things. One, Dr. Chambers, I'll save that for B1, because we don't have to approve that tonight. And as it relates to the outsourcing of the security officers, to your point, that is exactly what we're doing. We're not saying that that is going to happen. Of course, security is a major issue as we want to make sure that our staff, students, and everyone are safe. But we are definitely going to do a full-fledged analysis, not only a cost analysis, but also have some professionals come in and just assess the situation as a whole here in the district before any decision is made. And we will have community input before any decision is made as well.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other public comment?
Yes, we have a Will Rashan is on the line. Dr. Rashan, can you unmute yourself? Dr. Rashan, are you there?
Sorry. Yes. Will Rashan. I live at 1704 Modesto Circle. I'm very concerned about a time when a school district suspends without pay 2 principals, 4 high school teachers, and then there was other who were suspended with pay. And this really much relates to what the previous questioner was talking about. Seems to me staff development. I'm wondering what's going on. As I understand it, the district has a real problem, particularly at the high school level, in terms of positions not filled. And I just mentioned in that connection, as I'm told, that there are 16 security positions, 4 of which are filled. And I've also told daily there are fights between students. And in one case, a student fight, a teacher tried to intervene to stop the fight and ended up on the floor. So I think the district has a major problem in terms of personnel. So can you say something about why you're making all these suspensions without pay? And is that equivalent to termination, or is it something else?
Mr. Jarman, I have to refer to you because I know it's a personnel matter, and publicly there's not a lot that we can discuss as it relates to this topic.
Yes, it's not an appropriate forum to discuss those issues at this time.
So,
as it relates to the fights, Dr. Parkinson, I don't know if we want to discuss, you know, the changes made in the building and the fact that, you know, violent offenses have been down the last 2 or 3 weeks since those changes have been made. I don't know if you want to speak to that or not.
Speak to it quickly, Receiver Nichols. You know, obviously it's our goal every day to provide a safe learning environment for our students. One of the changes that were made with the support of the building leadership, district leadership, was to have the building operate as if it's a building for 1,000 students. We have 897 students in the high school. Prior to 3 weeks ago, we were operating the school as if we had the 3,000 plus students that it's built for, meaning that we were operating floors 1 through 5 with our students. What we've done is we've collapsed the building. We're operating primarily using floors 4 and 5, which provides greater eyes from the staff, the teachers, the adults are able to be more present with the students. And to be, completely transparent, we've solicited feedback from students, and the students have said that they feel like the change has been better. So to your question, sir, the fights have been reduced, and our goal is to continue to work to figure out what we need to do daily to reduce and create, continue, not just create, but continue to create that safe and supportive learning environment for our students.
Yes, well, I would just say that, you can't talk about individuals necessarily, personnel matters, but then I'm looking at this as more than a particular individual, a certain individual. Sounds more like a systemic problem when you're having to take that kind of action with that many people. So, however the district can engage that issue, I think would be very, very important. And I will also mention that you do have a morale problem among some of your high school faculty.
And thank you for that. And again, I'm going to defer to Mr. Jarman to tell me to close my mouth when to close my mouth. I'll say this: it's an issue that, of course, we are working with external and internal partners to ensure that we have the appropriate staffing levels needed to get through the turbulent time that we're going through with which you see on the agenda tonight. The morale problem is something that is very concerning to not only myself, but central administration, and we're working diligently to resolve that issue. We are in the process, again, in our lengthy meeting today, the superintendent and I, we talked about a number of things to boost morale for our teachers, and also to do some things with our students as we get feedback, just like you get, we get it as well. So I can't get into the personnel matter, but we know it, we understand it, and we are doing everything in our power to address it, to ensure that we have adequate staffing with the situation that's going on, nationally with the teacher shortage and substitute shortage, to address the concerns that you and we have as well. It's not, of course, we never ever wanted to go this route, as we already started, behind the 8 ball in our academic year with a shortage of professionals to provide, educational opportunities for our students. So this is something that we wanted to do, but we were legally obligated to do. That's fair, Mr. Jarman?
Yes, I agree with what you said 100%.
All right, thank you. Are there any other public comments? Chris, you're muted.
Sorry, Miss Karen Maya also has her hand raised. Miss Maya, can you unmute yourself?
Good evening, Miss Maya. How are you?
Good evening, everyone. I am Karen Maya. My address is 904 Pusey Street in Chester, PA. I am a graduate of Chester High School and an alumni, class of 1977, and I'm also a taxpayer. So I am coming to you this evening with some questions based upon, first of all, the rising numbers in the COVID and variant. As a Chester Upland School District, are we going to go back to sanitizing our classrooms to make sure that our students and staff are safe? And if so, do we have the manpower to be able to sanitize the schools? Because I think it's something that's very important. And I am in the schools and I haven't seen a lot of that. So I know at one point we were closing the schools to sanitize. And is that something we're going to go back to? That's my first question. My second question is, I noticed that there are a lot of students walking around with hoodies on, sunglasses, scarves, hats, and masks, which I feel is very inappropriate in a school setting. And I'm hoping that that is something that will be addressed, because that is not a dress code, since we don't have one, for our children in the Chester Upland School District. Is there any type of a protocol regarding students being on the phones while in class? Will we be sticking to the mask mandate by Governor Wolf? I understand we now have a district channel, and I have had the pleasure of watching the channel. I'm not sure who is mandating the channel, but there needs to be some adjustments because a lot of things are being cut off. You can't see the dates. They even cut off some of the people. So I'm not sure who's doing it. I think it's definitely a great idea, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at before it's presented to our community. I also want to speak about the security being outsourced. And I know from right now, that's something that you can't discuss, but as far as for our children, it's so important that we see people who look like us so that we can have a trust when we come into our schools. So I know that right now you haven't made a formal decision, but a lot of times what happens is we will bring people into our schools, into our community who are not familiar with our children. So I want you to definitely take that into consideration when you decide to outsource. I did call Mr. Nichols. I came to your office to speak with you and Dr. Parkinson to collaborate and get a meeting because I have a lot of concerns about the things that are going on. As an alumni, as a taxpayer, I think that a lot of the questions that we're asking today, I know everybody keeps saying this is not the forum, but there has to be some type of a forum that we have to meet in as taxpayers so that we can get some of our questions answered. My last thing is on the agenda, Dr. Chambers leaving. Dr. Chambers is a graduate of Chester High School. She is an alumni, she's an educator, and I am hoping that that is tabled, that you find people who are on this video, have some dialogue regarding her being leaving the Chester Upland School District. She is a vital impact to our community. And I am not sure why the decision is being made, but I hope that there is a discussion with her regarding her, leaving our Chester Upland School District. I think it's very important when you're an alumni and you come through these ranks and you come back here and you want to serve your community. It's major for us.
Thank you, Ms. Maya. And I'm going to go through your questions. Cleaning the building, I know the cleaning the buildings. I know that there's a plan, one, during the break to do a deep cleaning, and then there will be cleanings thereafter. As we all know, the new variant that's out, we want to make sure that we do what's needed and follow all of the CDC protocols. And again, make sure that we're cleaning our buildings, on a consistent basis, but there will be deep cleanings done over the winter break. I also, at this time, am going to take the stage and promote people getting vaccinated. Yesterday, I received my booster shot, and we encourage all of our faculty, staff, and students to go out and get vaccinated so that we can minimize any and everything as it relates to COVID so that we won't have any illnesses. I know earlier in the conversation, there was a comment made about us being virtual in January. At this particular point, that is not the case. We haven't seen the numbers to lean that way. So we're going to be open January 3rd. I think we return back and that will be in person, but the deep cleaning will take place. The dress code, there's a thing that we are currently working on, Operation Zero Tolerance. So we are in the process of talking with all 3 municipalities and their police chiefs, and there will be some assemblies that will happen at the top of the year that we will be addressing some of the issues that you brought up related to dress code, cell phones, the mask mandate, daytime curfew, anything you can imagine. We want to make sure that we are holding everyone accountable. So we have had conversation with, again, all 3 police departments and municipalities about the supports that we can get to ensure, again, safety one, and that we enforce all of our board codes and board policies and everything like that. Mask mandate, we're still requiring that everyone, wear masks in all buildings, everyone. So we're going to move forward in that direction to ensure that continues to happen. We note that the district channel needs to be addressed. I'm sure Ms. Teresa will be on top of that this evening. Security being outsourced, again, that's tabled. We're going to go through a full process where everyone's involved and you'll know everything along the way. But one thing I want to be clear on is that if it is outsourced, if we move in that direction, a part of the negotiations will most certainly be that the individuals that are currently employed by the district, that need I say more? I don't, legally, I see the lawyer looked at me funny, but we're going to do what we need to do to make sure that those individuals that are currently employed have some sort of employment moving forward. You said you stopped at my office, and I do apologize. I was out last week. Ms. Coleman did let me know that you stopped by and left your number, and I apologize that I didn't get back to you. But I'm going to ask Ms. Coleman if you can please schedule that with Ms. Maya, myself, and Dr. Parkinson. That would be greatly appreciated. And last but not least, I can't talk about a personnel issue as it relates to the HR director. I really would get in trouble then. But Dr. Chambers is the district. We don't want to see Dr. Chambers leave, and we're trying to have some conversation, see what we can do. And I may have said too much, but we hear the community and their support for Dr. Chambers. We support her as well. She's done great work, since I've been here, and I'm excited. And also I'm sad, and we'll have some conversation.
Mr. Nichols, and just one more thing, as far as the sanitation for the schools, we need to make sure that the schools are cleaned on a daily basis.
Oh, I'm with you.
Daily. And I am going to say this, I have been in the schools, and that's not being done because I don't know if we have the manpower to do it, but it is critical that these schools are being cleaned, because some of the things that I'm seeing is not good. It actually is something I won't even say on the air. So,
and Ms. Maya, I can echo that. I was in a school on yesterday, and I wasn't satisfied myself, and actually, we made a phone call and they resolved the issue. But it shouldn't take for me, you, or anyone else to, point something out. It should just be done. So we're on the same page. And again, I keep referencing our meeting today. Dr. Parkinson and I, we met for a few hours, and we went through a lot of this stuff. So it definitely will be addressed.
Thank you all so much, and have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other public comment?
Yes, Sharon Muma just.
Of course, you're muted, but.
I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
All right, and yourself, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Sharon Muma. I work in Toby Farms Intermediate School.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One is, why would the district initiate an audit of teachers' licenses during an active school year? Typically, PDE doesn't audit until after the school year has begun, unless it was a request from an educational agency. That's question number one. Question number two, is not suspending staff without pay violating their due process rights?
Mr. Jarman.
Yeah, I think that, clearly there's a lot of questions tonight about, personnel issues. There's laws that limit discussions on what we have in these forums. What we can do is, we're listening. Obviously, Mr. Nichols is listening attentively to what everyone is saying, and is doing his best to be as transparent as possible and responsive as possible to the public. Since there are so many questions regarding this, I would suggest, Receiver Nichols, that we take this under advisement and see if we can have some answers, or what we can respond to at our next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Jarman.
And when will that next meeting be? Because this is definitely of importance. I feel like we deserve to know. I've been in the district for 25 years, and there's never been an audit done after the school year has occurred. This is the first time, and it has affected a lot of my colleagues that have worked long and hard in the district before a lot of your faces were even here. So it's a concern. My heart belongs to Chester's kids. My heart belongs to my family that I've made in 25 years. People there are actually my family. I've created a family. I have no family of my own. I'm a foster mom. So I've had children that lived in Chester or in the foster care system in my home. So when I tell you my heart bleeds black and orange, even though I graduated black and gold, it's a big concern of me, because we're there for the kids. And I feel like having more staff gone when we already don't have a full deck to on a daily basis is hurting our children.
And again, that is appreciated, and I hear the passion in your voice. And we too have the passion for, I bleed orange and black because I'm a graduate of the district. And again, legally, there were some things that had to take place. We did not want to do what we were proposing to do. And the next meeting will be the 4th Thursday of January. And as we evaluate with legal counsel, we will present all of the information that we legally can at that moment in time. Thank you. Are there any more
so you're basically
comments?
saying that you can't disclose who would enforce an audit after a school year began? That's confidential at this time?
So this is this was done in conjunction with PDE, the Chester Upland School District, and a third party. Any other public comment, Chris?
Yes, Valerie Freeman is on. She has raised her hand. Valerie, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, hello. My name is Valerie Freeman, address 1226 Crosby Street. I am an alumni of Chester High School. I have some concerns, and I'm going to pretty much echo what other people were saying, but I would like my voice heard as well. As far as the children, mostly boys, walking around in the school with masks on and sunglasses is beside me. I don't know why we allow it. I don't know why they will be able to walk past a teacher or a security guard and no one says anything. I'm in a building 4 days a week, and I feel like that's a problem. My second issue is on the second floor where the cheerleaders practice at. All of the hand sanitizers are empty. If we're trying to cut back on COVID, that should be a requirement every day to check them and make sure that they're full. We shouldn't walk past and gotta walk past 5 of them just to see it. And lastly, when you mentioned that Dr. Chambers, we will do everything in our power, has anything been done? Has a conversation been made? Like, she is a product of Chester in every aspect. So what will be done about that and when? Those are my 3 items I wanted to discuss.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. The hand sanitizer issue most certainly will be addressed. The hoods and students walking in the hallways, of course, we're working on that as well. And as it relates to the personnel matter, there's not a lot that I can say publicly outside of what I've already said as it relates to Dr. Chambers. I don't want to violate her rights or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I see no other hands raised at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. We will now move to our education agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Good evening, everyone. There are 10 education items that we're seeking approval for. A1 is approval to adopt and approve determinations from student hearings. A2, approval for Carlina Parker to attend the ASCD Curriculum Leadership Academy. Mr. Nichols, there's just one amendment to that resolution. We will be using the Title II funds as opposed to ESSERs for this resolution. A3, approval for participation in the Level Data Validation project. A4, approval to enter into a contractual agreement with Allegheny IU and TransPerfect. A5, approval for the DCIU to provide Title I and Title II services for non-public schools. A6, approval for Drexel Newman Academy to provide Title I and Title II services for non-public schools. A7, approval to enter into contractual agreement with Your Life, My Hands to provide CPR training. A8, approval to enter into a contractual agreement with Fun and Function to develop sensory rooms. A9, approval to contract with Varsity Tutors for Schools. And lastly, A10, approval to accept vehicle donation from Principal Bell. That concludes the education agenda. Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Dr. Sutton. Before the approval, I will note publicly that the correction being made on A2 to change the funding source. And I do have a question as the public comment came up about A9 and us getting additional quotes. Dr. Whitaker, how soon do you think you get the quotes? Is this something that we need to do right now? Could it wait till next month so that we can have something to compare to? Could you give me some feedback, please?
Yeah, sure. I can get that to you by the time we get back from break.
Okay, so does this have to go through this evening, A9?
That would be my recommendation in order to support the program. So I'll get you that information as soon as possible so we can move forward with that.
Okay, Mr. German, the only thing that I would add is we can add some language in the contract that gets us an out if we need to. With that being said,
gotcha.
Education agenda items A1 through A10 are hereby approved with the corrections and the stipulation from the solicitor adding a comment about us being able to get out if quotes come in at a lower rate. Thank you, Dr. Sutton. We will now move on to our personnel agenda. Dr. Chambers.
Good evening, Receiver Nichols, Superintendent, Dr. Parkinson, elected school board members, Cabinet, and the Chester community. Seeking approval for the personnel agenda. B1, appointments, an appointment to be rescinded, start date correction, resignations, reassignments, a retirement, leaves of absence. And there has been a modification to the next agenda item, Receiver Nichols, to reflect that the motion on the agenda item is for termination, not suspension without pay. This is for the following positions: Principal, Toby Farms; Principal, Chester High School; Teacher, Chester High School; another teacher, Chester High School; and another teacher, Chester High School. Fall middle school and winter school coaches; school-wide assessment intervention planning; and the after-school program at Stetzer Elementary School. And this concludes the agenda items, the personnel agenda items for December 21st, 2021.
Thank you, Dr. Chambers. And the correction is noted with B1. At this point, I will approve action items B1 through, B1, I'm sorry, under the personnel agenda with the correction made. Moving to the business agenda. Mr. Fazio.
Mr. Nichols, school board, thank you for the privilege of your time. C1, the reports from the tax collectors, the collection from Berkheimer Associates, $1.332,535.74 for the month of November. Approval of the treasurer's reports, budget reports, C2. Request approval of C3, the general fund budget. List of payments of $4,058.33. I'm sorry, 73 cents, 84 cents. Sorry, my glasses. General fund budget, payroll of $2,096,493.73. C4, approval of project planning services supplied by North Star Museums and Education. C5, the approval for Nell Bud Services for cleaning and annual inspections of the kitchen fume hoods. And C6, the approval for DocuVault to supply shredding services. And finally, C7, approval of the partnership proposal from Arthur J. Gallagher and Company.
Thank you, Mr. Fazio. At this time, I will approve business agenda items C1 through C7. Are there any other, is there any other business?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, at this time, again, I would like to wish everyone a happy holiday and also encourage you all to receive your COVID vaccine if you haven't already and or boosters. And we thank you and will now adjourn our meeting for this evening. Enjoy your evening. Thanks.